Hi, I'm Luann Worley with Rockin' Book Reviews, and I'm so happy to be here today with Gramps Jeefrey. Gramps Jeefrey, your real name isn't that. What is your real name?
Oh, my real name is Marc Joseph. For children's books, it's Gramps Jeefrey because that's what my kids call me.
And that's who we're going to address today. But in the next couple of weeks, we'll be having an interview with Marc Joseph.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'll let him know.
Okay. You are a very busy, accomplished businessman and author of nonfiction marketing book. We will address that in a couple of weeks. But right now, how did you come up with this remarkable, cute little children's book?
Well, I've got 6 grandkids, and their ages are 1 to 9. And, during COVID, living that past year because of the pandemic just caused so much isolation. And it really gave you, except for being with your family, and it gave you a chance really to watch them, see these kids. So, I had a chance to interact with the grandkids, and I got to tell you what a trip that was, just being with them. All 6 of my kids have different kinds of personalities. The thing that they have in common is they have this sense of curiosity. And how excited they get when they do accomplish something. So watching them grow this last year really was what motivated as the basis for this book.
Before we go any further, can you share a few memorable moments of your childhood?
Well, let's see. I grew up in small town, Ohio, small town called Zanesville, Ohio, outside Columbus, Ohio. And it's a great, in that generation, because my parents were part of the greatest generation. So, in the 50s and the 60s growing up, it was a chance really to be with family. Now, in my case, my uncle and cousins lived up the street. My grandmother lived a couple streets away. So we really had that whole family thing. That's my memories, because in today's world, my kids are scattered all over the country. I've got 2 here with me in Scottsdale, the grandkids. I got 2 in Austin, Texas. I got another 2 in Orlando, Florida. So it's a whole different lifestyle, a whole different world. And so, in reality, when I was writing this book, I kept thinking about what was it like when I was growing up versus these 3-year-olds growing up today. And so, but my memories of childhood were just family.
So why did you choose the magical age of 3?
It's really a transitional age.
I don't want to turn 3.
Right. The book is titled, I Don't Want to Turn 3.
When I saw that title, I just cracked up. I thought, because I just had 2 great grandkids just turned 3. And I just thought, that is hilarious. And then I read your book. It was really cute. So why the magical age of 3?
It really is a turning point where you see these kids when they're 1 and 2 years old. They don't know how to share. They don't know the difference between me and us. And so I could see that evolving as a couple of my grandkids turn from 2 to 3. I've got one here with me this weekend that she is turning 3 next month, and I'm seeing the same thing with her. It's that point in life where you kind of wake up and think that the world is not all about me. And so that's why I thought that talking about turning from 2 to 3 and what you see before and what you see after just made a lot of sense for the title and the meaning of this book.
It was so interesting to me because most psychologists and everything center on the ages of 5 to 8 in development and in setting their personalities. And it was just interesting that you chose the age of 3, but it makes sense.
Well, it goes to a bigger question is, at what age do we begin to take responsibility? Is it 3 years old? Is it 13? Is it 23? I can tell you many of my contemporaries at 63, they may just start to take responsibility. So that really is the theme behind the book is, when do you really start to take responsibility for your actions in your life?
It is. It's very difficult because, like you said, there's so many adults that are well seasoned and they still act like a child. So
Yeah, very much so.
In not a good way. In your junior year of college, you took a break and went backpacking through Europe for 11 weeks. Now that sounds exciting. What places did you visit, and what was the most memorable part of your trip?
Well, this is backpacking in the 70s, and it's a lot different than I'm sure it is today. I felt it's much safer and so forth. But, we went for 11 weeks, went with my best friend from my hometown. And we did it like a backpacker. We slept in train stations. We only took trains. We slept in youth hostels. And so we went from every country from Israel to us, to Turkey, to Austria, to England, to the whole France and Germany. And I got to tell you, the most memorable thing was just how friendly people were to backpackers at that time. They understood that we didn't have a lot of money, and we were out there to really learn the world. And the people that I encountered were really the thing that drove me that this world is okay.
It was still a scary time.
Oh yeah, it was. But when you're a college kid, you don't see it. Like we do today.
But I find also that even in today's world, since I've had my blog, I started my blog in 2013. But even since I had my blog, even with all the negative, I find the majority of people out there are really awesome. They're really caring and good people.
Yeah, I agree with that. And sometimes as a country, we don't see that. But the majority of people that are here in the USA with us, they are really decent people. And those are the ones we need to celebrate.
And we lived in the Philippines for 2 years. People there were just wonderful and accepting. And I'll tell you, living in the Philippines among the people for 2 years made me really further appreciate our country and the freedoms and the prosperity we have. I think too many people take that for granted. I wish everybody could go live in a third world country for just a while.
I agree with you. That's a good point. In fact, if there's anything that comes out of this interview, that may be the point.
I've always had a Pollyanna attitude, I guess, about people. I always wanted to think everybody had good in them. So
it's the glass half full, the glass half empty. And if we as, and again, our ages is now that we've gone through the whole world of life, and if we're on to pass on knowledge to younger generations, is we need that glass to be half full, because that's how we progress, and that's how we as a society get better.
So, and I'm anxious to get into your business end of this conversation in a couple of weeks, because I was bombarded when I read your bios and about your different things you're involved in. I thought, wow, this is mind-blowing. But anyhow, another time, another place. In addition to this book, you have a blog and a Pinterest site that further explores the main points of your book. Can you share with us about them?
When I took a look at who was going to buy this book and then who was going to read this book, I was really focusing on the baby boomer generation, grandparents, because they're the ones that can help pass on the knowledge of the world to these little kids. And some of us in our generation were very involved in our children's and our grandchildren's upbringing, and some of us, could care less. But that is really what the blog is about, is how do we get involved in our children's lives? Like, for instance, it's very important for grandparents, to read to their kids, to read, why should you read to your kids? Well, the number one reason is it helps with the bonding. It gives you some quiet time just to be one-on-one with them, and you can sit and you can spend the time together, and you're focused on something that's meaningful to the kids. Another reason why we as grandparents should be having us read to our kids is it supports all the listening skills. One thing that I'm sure that you have learned, like myself, is the most important skill that we have as adults is listening. How do we listen to people and learn from them? Once we can listen to people, then we can become better people too. So, this reading to children really helps them, do their listening skills. And another thing that it's important for grandparents, and parents too, obviously, that's for a given, but for grandparents to get involved with these kids' life and reading to them is, to help with the cognitive and the language development. Words that they may not be exposed to, that you can question about as you sit down with them. And just helps them with the whole language. Is, again, when you're going from 2 to 3 to 4, that's key. They've got to be able to understand what words mean and how to use them. And then, another reason is it helps with the whole attention span of little kids. If you can let them go pick out the book that they like, let them bring it to you and let's read it together. And it just helps increase their attention span. Because again, as we know, as adults, we've got to be able to have some kind of attention span to get things done. So that's the reason that I decided to really get into my blog and on the Pinterest and the Twitters, is getting people involved in the life of their kids. It's so easy for us as older people to just go on and do our own thing. Well, there's only so much time we have. We have 18 years with these kids as they're growing up, if we're lucky. And as we know, these decades go fast. And so you want to make sure, and that's my message, is get out there, get involved with your kids.
And I've been on your blogs and it's very interesting. I like the way you have on Pinterest, each image you can click on for different subjects. It's fascinating.
Oh, good.
I encourage everybody to get on his, and I will be posting your Pinterest and your blog media addresses so that people can go to them.
Great, good, I appreciate that.
And what is your next big project?
Well, the title of this book is I Don't Want to Turn 3. The next book is going to be I Don't Want to Turn 4. And I don't want to turn 5. In fact, my 9-year-old, my granddaughter just turned 9 years old, and she came to me this weekend. She says, I got an idea for a book. I don't want to turn 10. So that's going to be what we're going to be working on.
That'll be fun. If they're all as good as this one, it'll be a joy.
Thank you.
Before we close, you have a giveaway for us, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Let's give away one of my books. I'd love to do that. How do we do that?
So, and can you show your book right there?
Absolutely. Here it is.
This awesome, well-made book is going to be to one lucky U.S. Canada winner. And it'll be a joy. I tell everybody, it will be really it's fun for adults to read. Say that.
Brings back too many memories, right?
And I liked it because a lot of times when adults write children's book, first of all, they're too wordy, and second of all, they're too matter of fact. But with yours, it's fun, and yet it's not too wordy, that it's got enough fun in it so that it won't lose the children's interest. So I highly recommend it. Is there any final comments you'd like to make before we leave?
No, that you can find the book just about everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the major book sites. You can come to my site, grampsjeefrey.com, or I don't want to turn 3.com. Or if anyone wants to reach out to me and just talk about life in general, for kids and adults, I'd be more than happy to do that. Then it's grampsjeefrey@gmail.com.
Super. And we want to remind everybody to stay tuned in a couple of weeks, because we're going to be meeting again. So you can tell us, do you want to just give us a highlight and show us your business book?
Oh, sure. It's called The Secrets of Retailing, How to Beat Walmart.
I love the title, and I'm really interested in finding out more. So
great.
We'll be having that in a couple of weeks.
Super. All right.
And
Appreciate
I'll be looking forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, Lan.
And we'd like to encourage everyone to search the universe through books. And goodbye now.